peace, it allowed both the Jeffreys and the remaining white furs to thrive again. It will happen in one of two ways. Either man will undertake the difficult and expensive task of removing them, or nature will use its method of thinning force and burn them. Another depletion was that of the virgin fishing grounds of the lake. During the boom days of the last half of the 19th century, what became a nationally famous trout fishing industry sprang up to feed miners, lumberjacks, and railroad men, as well as the guests of swanky New York hotels, and each year took hundreds of tons of native silvers and cutthroat trout from the lake. As a result, catching a native cutthroat is a rare occurrence, and commercial fishing has been banned for years. Tahoe's industrial days ended about the turn of the century, and the basin became a lightly used summer resort area that remained that way until the end of the Second World War. That marked the start of another boom, a commercial one, where real estate developers, promoters, and casino operators discovered the lake. The resulting development of facilities and services catering to the varied recreational wants of the public has indeed made Lake Tahoe America's favorite lake. We return shortly. And that almost shiny appearance on the rock face was also caused by the ice. It's called glacial polish. Looking over on the left, a ridge of land that starts at Eagle Point and rises to the Beacon Mountains is known as a moraine. Glacial moraine is formed by debris, rock, mud, and boulders that the glacier picks up and drops to one side as it moves along. Just to the south of that ridge is Cascade Lake, a single star on the side of the mountain. A slide is brought about by some man-made nature. In 1918, the first road to Eagle Point was blasted out the side of that mountain. Some 13 years later, in 1926, a rock slide closed the road for a second time. But in 1955, Christmas Eve, Mother Nature let go. The instant, a tremendous 600-foot avalanche had obliterated the road. It took more than a year to blast out the new roadway, and to this day, local people still go to the Mary Hart Rock that resisted the glacier that carved out the rest of the neck. Or it could be a brand new monolith that was carried down from higher elevations and deposited here by the glacier. However, it happened by boat from South Tahoe. It was hard work and long hours, but finally, in August 1929, Vikings almost complete. This day is judged to be one of the finest examples of Scandinavian architecture. On her Scandinavian trip, Mrs. Knight had also planned to purchase antique furniture for her castle. Her intent was to furnish the castle with the richest pieces, but the ones she most wanted were historical. In the various Scandinavian countries, the second floor is devoted mainly to guest bedrooms, except for the right front corner, the location of Mrs. Knight's bedroom. However, her favorite room was the screened-in room on the third floor above her bedroom, where she spent most evenings. The entranceway leads into the main living room. The right front corner of the main floor is the dining room. On the left front corner is a turret, or the South Tower, which is a library. On the floor of that library is a round, hand-woven cashmere rug, valued then at $30,000. Throughout the 1930s and 40s, several times each summer, Mrs. Knight would have a servant row her and her guests, then assist them up the path of stone stairs to the tea house, a 16-foot square stone structure with miniature fireplace, 4 windows, table and chairs. A light lunch and tea with high society chit-chat they'll pass a summer afternoon. Another interesting personality of Emerald Bay was a gentleman by the name of Captain Richard Carter. An eye on things hired Captain Dick. Spending the year round in Emerald Bay, Captain Dick had to fight the elements more than once. Break the monotony of the long winters, of the whiskeys he could put away. On the night of January 26, 1870, one very drunk Captain Dick Barter stumbled down the wharf and onto his boat for the long road back home. About halfway, a sudden squall capsized the boat. In Rainbow Pool, Here the trail takes you underground and alongside the glassed-in section of a typical feeder stream entering Lake Tahoe, where you can view the natural, unmolested habitat of our lake fish. What lies beneath the waters of Lake Tahoe should find a spot through one of the monitors at this time.
Up on the third level here. Okay. Okay.